Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. I'm Harmony, and I'm here with Russell Case.
Harmony.
Yeah, hi.
Do you remember the podcast that we did with the fellow from Michigan? No, Ohio,
Yeah.
and there were all the drug references.
No.
I mentioned how my dad's drug use.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we got some complaints.
No.
We did, so we had to come in, and they've asked us to tone down the drug references on the podcast.
Yeah, good
So,
idea.
yeah.
Well, we won't be talking about that
No, we
today because we're
shouldn't.
meeting with the beautiful Bella Sarna. Hello,
Hi, Bella.
Bella.
Hi there. How are you both? Nice to see you.
Good.
Nice to see you too.
And if you hadn't noticed, I've already put on the airs and graces of my 3 years in Brighton, so I hope you don't mind if I pull that out.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for doing that.
I'm actually from Michigan. Where are you from, Bella? You're from up north, or you're from London? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm from North London. So
North London.
Yeah, grew up in a place called Enfield, and I went to school
Enfield.
In Highgate in North London near Camden. So
Yeah, Camden Yards.
So very much around the North London side.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just to jump in, and we should introduce you properly as the founder of Little Sanctuary Yoga and Little Sanctuary Interiors, and you're here to talk to us a little bit about your life story. But you mentioned this wonderful thing in your bio about not being British and not being Portuguese and not being Sikh, and yet you must be all of those things at the
Yeah, I
same
must be. I
time.
thought about it after, and I thought, well, actually, probably I'm a combination of it all. So I think it was because I was neither here nor there. So for me, it kind of felt a little bit. I mean, at school there was kind of no one really of a mix like mine, so I felt a little bit kind of maybe just a little bit different, I suppose, to other people in the school. And then I obviously have my Portuguese side of the family that I'm very close to. My Indian side of the family I'm very close to, but very different dynamics on both sides. So it kind of felt a little bit stuck in between, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in England, in like a totally different culture than...
Yes, although England is so culturally diverse. As you
mean racist?
No, I mean like there are so many cultures there, right? So
for sure.
So from that respect, at school I was surrounded by lots of different cultures. I think mine was just quite an unusual mix of two.
Yeah. And then now you're in Australia, though.
I am, yes.
I want to dig in more on this British thing.
We're not leaving it there.
No, we're not just moving on to Australia. There's a lot
I want
to
go down under.
Yeah, we're gonna dig a little deeper till we get down under, Harm.
Okay.
So the thing that I really have struggled with and probably have always struggled with is just ultimately just finding out that I'm American and like this is who I am and I can't fake it. I can't fake being the person. I try to fake being the person that I'm with, whether I'm in Canada or Britain or South Korea. No one's ever fooled. The thing that I really struggled with in Britain is realizing that if if there's a group dynamic and we're all to be in one room, then I can't really go up to my room and take a nap. Like it's not cricket, if you know what I mean. And I wonder, like, is there a part of being British that really kind of rubbed you up the wrong way, that you said, I can't manage this? Or if you're with your Portuguese relatives, did you notice what was really sticking out for you?
I suppose not so much, because if anything, I spent I was born in London, I grew up in London, and I only left London when I was kind of late 20s or nearly 30. So I only really knew London. I didn't get to India until, I was probably early 20s. So I didn't really know that part. I only really knew the UK and Portugal. And so all of my cousins, we were all born there. So for me, it wasn't like, that I kind of, I mean, unless I went to Portugal and spent my holidays there, it wasn't that I felt like it felt strange. It always felt quite natural and normal. So there wasn't anything that stood out that I felt was kind of wrong. Not that I can think of anyway. I mean, something might come to me, but it just felt like normal life, very much living and born and bred in the UK and living there and experiencing that, but also the really nice aspect of having the additional cultures that I could experience at the same time.
But you didn't necessarily have St. George's flag on your front lawn either.
No, I never got to that extreme.
No, that's how you know you're properly racist.
No, it's like the one in America,
the Confederate flag. Yeah, when you have a Confederate flag in your front yard, then you can start to ask questions.
People start to avoid your house.
Yeah, they have particular.
You do get that here as well. A few Australian flags in the garden.
What's the equivalent of the Saint? Do they do a St. George's flag?
No, they don't. I should know, shouldn't I? But I've only just seen the flag with the Southern Cross on it. That's they do put that up on occasion.
Is it like white and red?
It's like it's the blue flag with the stars, and it's got the Union Jack on it as well.
Oh yeah, right, that one. Yeah, okay, yeah.
The proper one.
The proper one, yeah.
Yeah, what is right and good? Yeah. So one thing you described is that you were really quite a good student in Britain. You were doing really well in your A levels, and then
in my GCSE. So I did well in my GCSE. Kind of went downhill after that.
Things kind of went downhill for you. And I was sorry to read that. I mean, it's particularly tragic. I mean, do you feel comfortable talking about it at all?
Yeah. So when I was at secondary school, which is when you do your GCSE, so that's kind of up till about 16. I was doing really well, and then my brother got diagnosed with leukemia, and I suppose that was quite just a big upheaval for all of us, And so I think when I got to my A levels, and I also moved schools. So I moved from that all girls convent school to a mixed, college, and I was doing A levels there that probably I wasn't that passionate about either. So I remember when I was at school, I really liked art. I loved that, and I did well in it. My parents were particularly supportive of me continuing with it. They just didn't see that there was much value in it. And so
nor is there. Yeah.
And so I did some, I did languages and I did geography for some reason. I'm not sure why. And
it's like the art of landscape.
The art of the earth.
The art of the earth, yes.
And I think I was just going through a very difficult time, although I probably didn't process it very well either. It wasn't like I was kind of in this dark place. I was just kind of getting on with life. But if I think about it, I started to rebel a bit, and probably all of that was a combination of just what was going on in my personal life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I didn't do great, and my parents were completely appalled with my results, as they would be. And so the whole kind of idea of going to uni at that point was like, oh no, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, because obviously it's very much based on those grades. Mm-hmm. But one uni did take me, thankfully. So, and I applied for the uni that as far away as I could from London. So I applied to quite a few. And I got accepted at Sheffield, Hallam, so I went there, and I think that was kind of good for me to kind of get away from the tense, I suppose, all that was going on at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that unfortunately he did pass. He didn't make it with the leukemia, and you said that. I think shortly after you kind of needed something to kind of work yourself out of that experience. You started doing yoga at that point.
Yeah. So he passed while I was at university, and I kind of dealt with it in my own way, and it was probably in a bit of a self-destructive way. But then when I got back to London and I started working, that's when I found a yoga centre that my husband and I started going to. So I wasn't married to him at the time.
Are you married to
very
him
young.
now?
I am married to him now.
Oh wow, how rare!
But did you go together? Did you meet?
Yeah, we went together. No, we went together.
Cool.
Went together. We met at uni, so we met at uni together, and so yeah, he had like real back issues, which he kind of still does, but not so bad. And he suggested that it would be a good idea to go, so I was curious and I went along. And yeah, I really loved it, and I probably would have gone more often, but it was in Putney, and I lived in North London, so it was quite a trek to get there. So it was only kind of 2 or 3 times a week whenever I stayed at his, because he lived near Putney, that I would go.
Right.
And I loved it, yeah. And I think for me, he totally was just purely about fixing his back, you know. He was not a spiritual person in the slightest. But for me, I loved the feeling that I got afterwards as well. It was a very peaceful feeling. And it was a really holistic practice as well. You know, it wasn't just asana. There was pranayama. There was like kriya practices. So it was really nice. It was really kind of, you know, a lot, sort of an all-encompassing practice, maybe an hour and a half each time we went. So it was lovely. Really nice.
That was a Shivananda Vedanta Center.
It was, yes. Yeah.
That seems like the right way to do it, I think.
Nice and gentle.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, in hindsight, I think that's probably, if anyone out there is still a hardcore Ashtangi, probably not after listening to our podcast, but I think that's the right way to go. Something, you know, something that kind of is holistic, that kind of talks at all the different angles of the whole life experience.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
Was that what inspired you to go to India then?
No, we just decided that well, I suppose one of the reasons we wanted to do a round the world trip, and it would be really hard to get a visa in Australia before after 30. So we wanted to make sure we got there before 30. And so we planned this kind of round the world trip. We were going to go to Australia, but then we were going to maybe work there for a little bit and then go to South America and come back home. So we left. We went on a kind of diving, marine sort of diving expedition, which was like volunteer work in Fiji, which was amazing. We did that for a while. Then we came back, and then we went properly. So the first place we went to was India with my dad. So he came along with us.
Oh, fun!
And yeah, it was nice. And we had our moments, but overall it was fun. And yeah, I've got family in Delhi, so we stayed with them, and then we went to Amritsar, to the Golden Temple.
Beautiful.
We just travelled around for like 6 or 8 weeks.
Had your dad been there before to Amritsar?
Yeah, to Amritsar, yes. A long time ago, I'm sure. But he hadn't been back to India for quite a long time. He sort of moved to the UK as a boy. So, yeah, so for him, it was really nice to kind of get back and spend time there as well. I think when his father passed away, he'd been to Amritsar then, which was a few years before.
Right.
So how did he hook up with a Portuguese gal? That's sort of...
Yeah, so my mum was a nurse. They were both working at the Royal Free Hospital in Euston, and my dad, I think he was a receptionist, and so that's how they got together. And I think it was a bit frowned upon as well, you know, because obviously he was kind of meant to marry maybe someone that was Sikh as well.
Yeah,
probably.
But then you wouldn't be here, Bella.
No, that's true. So yeah, I think they kind of had a bit of a tough time of it for a little while, but it all sorted itself out. And and then my mum continued to do nursing for a little while, and then my dad took over his father's business. His father had a shop in Finchley. He took over that, I think reluctantly, but maybe not, I don't know. And and then that was kind of his life from then. So he had that shop, and then he had they also had another one, and he basically worked all the time. Like he worked. I think the only day he didn't work was like Christmas Day. So he was constantly working. And so my mum kind of gave up nursing and started working there, but she's actually gone back to nursing maybe in the last, probably the last sort of 15 years or so. She went back again to nursing.
Was it her parents that brought her to England? Why would they do that?
She came to England because at the time Salazar was, a dictator. He was like a dictator. He, I think, it was kind of not a great time to be in Portugal, and so she came over with cousins and came over. Her parents stayed there, so she was very much alone, not speaking English when she came. But she learned English and she became a nurse, so she's pretty amazing.
Wow. What was your father's shops? What did they sell?
Oh, it was just he had a shop called Osaka in Finchley, which sold all kind of anything from sort of Southeast Asia. It wasn't just Indian. It was like kind of Japanese food and all sorts of Osaka, yeah. And then he had another shop after that, which was kind of just like a grocery store that sold everything, really. Yeah.
Oh. You and I were both born in 1975. Is that right?
Oh, were we? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know you were. Okay.
Yeah. And what month are you?
I'm August.
August. So I'm April. So I'm a titch older than you. So in August of 74, I was famously conceived in Portugal on the beach.
Oh, were you?
outside of Lisbon. I have to go back and I have to apply for citizenship. Actually, I was told that I could do that.
Right, there you go. I need to get my Portuguese passport sorted.
My mom just insisted on going on vacation to Portugal, even though it was a dictatorship at the time. So she thought it was fantastic. They were robbed of their passports and all of their wealth, and so they stayed another 6 weeks longer than they meant to because they couldn't get out of the country.
Oh, no way. Wow.
And then because they were quote unquote clean, my dad told me this weekend, that's how I was made.
Oh, I see.
They hadn't he told me all of this like just over the weekend. He said that they hadn't been using any kind of birth control for like 2 years, and then like 2 weeks on a Portuguese beach, and I was made.
There you go.
No worries. Yeah.
And have you been back since you were conceived?
It's in my heart, So
yeah.
Portugal always travels with me.
I love Portugal.
Yeah, you feel very Portuguese, you said, especially in Brazil.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I love Portugal.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for conceiving Portuguese children?
No, you should go back and visit the beach. You should go back and visit the beach.
Well, we'll give it a shot. Maybe this summer, sweetie.
I love your interior design, which we're going to get into, but you incorporate like some of those, like the Portuguese kind of ceramic patterns and like the beautiful kind of, tiling that you find there.
I laugh. I'm a little bit obsessed with tiles, to be honest with you, which is maybe a bit tragic. And I'm also quite obsessed with the Indian handicrafts, the furniture that they produce as well. I think my style is kind of a combination of everything that I love from both cultures, and also what I love from being English as well. The kind of quality and craftsmanship that you get from the UK. So it's a bit of a combination of everything. So that's why my style is quite eclectic, in the fact that I kind of see things from all over and I just kind of can't stop myself. I want to kind of combine them all.
Yeah,
these patterns are fantastic.
Yeah, your designs are so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
They saying, I wish you lived closer.
I think the yellow stripy wallpaper and this blue tile on the bathroom floor, it's just magnetic, isn't it?
Thank you.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I was thinking.
Were you thinking of something?
I was thinking of something, but now it's gone.
It wasn't.
Oh, I know. The other beautiful thing is in your designs, you're able to like combine all these things from all the different like cultures that are a part of you, and it really comes out. And then also your love for art is being expressed, which I think is so nice. You got to use all that art. Instruction after all.
Were you studying art at Sheffield?
No. I was studying business, international business with languages. Yeah.
Well, I'm just getting hammered after hours, probably.
It wasn't exactly where I saw myself going, but it kind of ended up. And you know, like I met my husband, I met amazing friends while I was there. I got to live in Portugal for a year and a half because part of the course was to I was doing international languages, international business with Portuguese. So we spent 6 months in Braga in the north and a year in Faro in the south. So it was really, really good. I had a great time.
Nice.
God, the way that she says it is quite different. My goodness. Why wouldn't you just hunker down and try and get a mortgage in London? Why just drop everything and say fuck all? I'm going overseas.
I think we were just kind of a little bit done with the commute to work. Like I worked at Canary Wharf, and it was a big commute to get there, and the grey sky and the fact that it gets dark so early, you know, all of that combined, we're just like, oh, we can't do this for much longer. We just want to kind of get out. And we sort of had the opportunity, sort of now or never, to give it a go. I'd been working in the city in London for about maybe 7 years or so, and so had Ian, my husband, and it just felt like the right thing to do. It just everything kind of aligned. We were like, right, let's just get out of here. We've saved enough to be able to kind of do a little bit of a trip, and so we did. And I think because as well the opportunity came up with that Coral Key conservation, which was that diving trip. It just felt like let's just do that and then take some time off work. So that's what we did. And the intention actually was always to come back. It's just it never happened.
No, you didn't come back, did you?
No, we didn't. And I feel bad about that. My poor mum. She kept saying, when are you coming home? And I'd be like, yeah, another year or another 6 months. And it just kind of never happened. My poor mum.
And how long's it been? How many years has it been since you...
I think it's been about 18 years. So
18 years later, you're still, one more year.
Although I did apply for a job in London just before COVID with the intention to go back there. But then COVID happened. And everyone there was in lockdown and everyone there was doing the homeschooling. And I thought to myself, there's just no way I can do that for 6 months. You know, like one of us won't survive. And so I declined the role at the time, but it kind of felt like the right thing to do because here in Australia, we were kind of living in a bit of a bubble. You know, we were quite protected from anything going on outside to the point where, you know, we weren't allowed to go anywhere. But so then it felt like the UK was almost in the other extreme, you know, like, and so the whole reason for going back would have been to see my parents, but I probably wouldn't have been able to spend much time with them, right, because it was quite high risk at the time. So it felt, I'm kind of glad we did that. But there is still an intention to get back to the UK. At some point soon.
One day. Next year.
Yeah, I think now's the sort of time, you know, now that my parents are getting a bit older. So.
Yeah.
So then right at the end of your travels, you're in Australia. Maybe you said that you were broke, which is something that often happens when you're traveling.
Yeah.
And then you ended up just finding work in Australia. Can you tell us how you did that? Because that seems like that's how you got to be here right now.
I think it was my husband that got sponsorship maybe with Unilever. So he started working with them, and I got a contract with a big bank. There's like 4 big banks over here. I got a contract with one of those guys, and it just happened really easily and quite quickly. And so we were renting a place that was furnished, and we were saving our money so we could carry on going with our trip. But then the lady who was the landlord of that place decided she wanted to move back in. And so we were kind of left without anywhere to live. And so here in Australia, it's quite hard to find a furnished place. Yeah. So we kind of then spent all our savings on furniture and staying. And it kind of then we settled into a routine of, all right, we're staying for a while. And a while became 18 years. So we had our children here.
Wow.
I worked in Bondi Beach for I guess it was the fall of 2010, and it seemed like a lot of people just left the furniture out on the street, and you could just pick up anything you wanted. So I mean,
I could have done that. I could have scoured the streets.
Yeah, scavenge the streets. And if you wanted a pet bat, you could grab a bat because there's plenty of those.
There are. Lots of
fucking terrifying. Getting up at like 3 in the morning to go teach yoga, and like there's just like bats like would follow me tree to tree and just like make sure that I don't trip, I'm like, oh, this one's weak.
This one's
I
weak.
used to get up early to go rowing. I used to row when I lived in Balmain, and it was the kookaburras. I don't know if you remember the sound of the kookaburras, but
right.
they've got this really quite unique sound, and that's kind of what used to sort of accompany me the whole way to rowing when it was pitch black. Just be the sound of these kookaburras that sounded like monkeys in the trees, which was really strange.
Yeah.
Well, then you really started doing like a fair bit of yoga. You started really getting down with it, and can you tell you have this teacher Nadia? Can you tell us more about her, Nadia Rahani?
Yeah, so I met Nadia through a friend of mine who was going to her yoga studio, and I was just going to her classes. I don't remember there being Ashtanga classes there, but Nadia was, she was going to India a lot, so she was obviously, going to Mysore and spending a lot of time there. And I just used to go to her classes as and when I could, because she was in Potts Point and I was a little bit further away from there. But I really just got on very well with her. I really liked her, and I still do. And then when I got an email just talking about a teacher training, that was kind of at a time that I was considering a teacher training. So it just felt the right thing. It just felt right. I'd been looking at other kind of ones and wasn't really sure. And then this kind of email came out of the blue, and it felt really right. And even though she wasn't taking the teacher training, I knew that because it was a recommendation from her that it would be a really good teacher training, which it ended up being.
Who was teaching the teacher training?
His name's Mark Bredner, and he's Australian. He lives in Bali now, and it was a very thorough kind of teacher training. It was quite long. It was spread over 4 months, but he very much focused on meditation, pranayama, kriya. So it was very, and again, holistic, which is kind of what I was looking for. So it was nice. It was really nice.
Nice. I know Nadia.
Do you really?
Yeah, she's lovely.
How do you know her?
She is.
From Mysore.
From Mysore.
Yeah, we spent
Nadia
some time
Rahani.
together in Mysore.
Oh.
Now she has 2 babies, right? I mean,
probably
no babies anymore, but
she does. She's
little ones. Yeah.
You've got 2 babies as well, Bella.
Yeah, but not babies
so little. Yeah,
they're
6 and 8. Yeah.
And you had them in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not sold on the idea of having kids.
Oh God. Just the other day, you were telling me you were so sad you didn't have a child.
Well, I am sad. Yeah.
A biological child. You only have an adopted child.
I think I should go to Portugal and see if I can get any of my spermies back and up in working order. That'd be good. Yeah.
So did you start teaching yoga after doing the teacher training, or did you just do it for your own learning?
In order to kind of get your final certification, he wanted you to, so he made you. Well, he didn't make you, but he suggested that you do. I can't remember how many classes we had to do, but we had to kind of get them signed off and stuff. So rather than it just being a teacher training you do and then that's it, you kind of need to go through that process of teaching too. Mm-hmm. So I taught friends. I taught my rowing club that I'd been a part of.
Did you teach your nan? Did I read that right?
My nan.
Yeah. No. Grandparents. I read somewhere that you taught your grandparents.
I taught my parents.
Oh, your parents.
My parents.
I read it here. I said, "Oh, you taught your grandparents."
No. My grandparents aren't with me anymore, so
they're not gonna be very good students then.
In the spirit realms.
My first students were my grandparents.
No, you're making that up.
No, that was a dream. That must have been a dream.
No, I read it.
But you did teach your parents. You went back to England and taught them, or did they come and visit?
I taught them online during COVID.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they were kind of losing their mind because they were sort of stuck at home.
Yeah. I taught my 80-year-old parents. It says that. Yeah, that's.
Well, they were probably about 78 at the time.
Didn't sound like parents. I just read 80 and I did the rest in my head.
Yeah, fair enough. I understand. And so I taught that. It was really nice, actually. They'd like sort of made some space in their living room, and I kind of took them through some breath work and meditation and a bit of movement, which I think was really good for them.
Yeah. Did they reach out and ask you, or did you recommend
I
it?
suggested it, and my dad was super keen, and my mum kind of got on board, which I was really surprised about, but she was as well. And I really obviously had to modify quite a bit. And it was hard because I wasn't there, right? So I was kind of just watching through a screen at a really bad angle because parents like with technology.
Totally. Oh my gosh.
So we
Good
got
for
there.
them, though. Good for them. That's amazing. That's wonderful.
I think your parents would have been amazing at yoga.
They do yoga at the YMCA.
They do.
Oh, nice.
But they're
So you don't teach them?
I don't teach them, no. They go to like someone else.
You taught them once at Purple Valley.
I did. I did. I have taught them in the past. I taught them in Thailand when they came on retreat with me. If they come on retreat with me, I teach them. I taught them at Purple Valley when they were on retreat with me. And I didn't teach them in Mexico. They came on retreat, but they were...
That was the worst retreat they've ever had, they said.
Yeah, but they love to tell stories about it. Oh, we don't want to get into it.
Well, both you and Jedi nearly died.
Yeah. I mean, that was one. There was just like one dramatic thing after the other. But Jedi almost died of like dehydration. He was like vomiting and wouldn't keep any fluid down, and I got bit by a scorpion, and anyway.
I think it stung. I don't think they bite.
It stung, yeah.
Have you had any close encounters with the beasts in Australia? Because you hear the stories that they're just like they're killers in Australia. Everything is out to kill you the moment you step outdoors. And you being British, I think you'd struggle.
Yeah, well, I think we've had a few snakes. So when we first arrived in the Sunshine Coast, we had a python outside of where our garden is, just on the outside, and our next door neighbours had a puppy, so they were really worried about it because they could potentially eat the puppy. And so we called a snake catcher, and he looked terrified. This guy, he was trying to catch the python, and he just he looked like he was really scared. So
it's like his first day on the job.
Now, by python, do you mean like a 20-foot fucking snake?
It was pretty big. Yeah, it was pretty big.
Good God.
And then since I take my dog for a walk in the bush, and there was a black snake that slithered past my foot the other day, which I didn't really think anything of because I'm not scared of snakes really at all. But then when I got back, Ian was saying, that was probably really deadly, and you probably should have been a bit concerned. But yeah, I didn't really worry about it. It wasn't interested in me.
Yeah, luckily.
One time when I was in Texas, and forgive the listeners if I've told this story on the podcast before, but one time in Texas, I was in the green country. They don't call it the green country; they call it the I was in a park, whatever they call it, the green belt. Okay. And I had decided to meditate because I was still trying, and I was meditating in the park, and I was like sort of waist deep in the water in lotus, just like really relaxed and like very comfortable, and even like kind of tripping a little bit because it was so nice. And then about 30 feet from me, I saw a moccasin bring its head up out of the water and take a good look at me. It was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And I just looked at it, and it looked at me, and then it just like, you know what, you're not to be trifled with, and just kind of then swam away.
Wow.
And it was kind of like, like when like some kind of like snake, like Shiva snake kind of rises up
nice.
Behind you.
It's a good omen.
It's a good omen. Yeah.
Did you get out of the water pretty quickly after that?
Yeah, no, I was good. I was like, this situation's calm, resolved itself. So
okay, lovely.
I sat still.
All right, let's get back to the yoga journey.
Back to the yoga.
Yeah.
You study with Dina Kingsburg, of all people.
I've been on a few retreats with her.
Well, you
So
wouldn't recommend it, right?
Oh, of course you would.
The Ashtanga yoga, really?
Oh, amazing! I loved. So I had. She had a session here in the Sunshine Coast, and Tim Feldman had recommended that I seek her out, and so I did. I saw that that she was here in the Sunshine Coast, and I went to a workshop of hers, which I think was over a couple of days, and then I went to her place near Byron Bay for a retreat there, and spent the week there.
It is difficult to get to.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
Well,
easy.
it was when the floods were on as well.
Oh,
Right?
as well.
Yeah, it was kind of quite. The whole area was kind of quite destroyed. And then I saw that she was going to Portugal, and I was like, right. And this is when the borders had pretty much just opened. I was like, right, we're doing it. We're going to Portugal. So it was kind of a combination of seeing my parents and dragging them all the way to the Algarve. So that I could practice with Dina, and it worked out really well because the kids and my husband and my parents kind of, did their thing in the morning, had their breakfast, and I went to Mysore practice, and then I spent a couple of hours in the afternoon there as well. So it kind of worked out because we had a holiday in between, so it was perfect.
Yeah,
she really does remind me a lot of Harmony. Like they have very similar energy to me, and especially in the Mysore room where you can be quite tough. And she's really incredibly special. I was just teasing, of course, that you wouldn't recommend it because I mean you can't get a higher recommendation than Dina
She's
Kingsbury.
lovely, amazing, yeah. Actually, she was also in. I also saw her in Sydney because Sharath was here in Sydney a little while ago. So I went down there and she was there. It was so nice to just see her. She's lovely. Like, I love her way of teaching. And it's a combination of everything, not just the Mysore, but the chanting and the breath work that she does is just amazing. So
singing.
It's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to bring your parents on a retreat to watch the kids too, right?
Yeah. It was good because the place that it was at, it wasn't like the commercial kind of part of the Algarve. It was very remote, and it was more on the kind of west coast, and it was just really raw and really like the whole landscape was just really sort of untouched and beautiful. It was such a perfect place for it. It was lovely. And somewhere that I'd kind of never seen of Portugal before, so new for me as well.
And I think you encountered Jack completely in the nude one afternoon. Did you ever meet Jack in the nude?
No, not in the nude.
No. I quite liked him. I thought I would have liked more adjustments from him, but there's some things that are forbidden for him to do.
Okay.
So I really liked him a lot.
Yeah, I like Jack. Yeah.
Jack's wonderful.
His adjustments are amazing as well.
Oh yeah.
Big old tough broken guy.
Yeah. Really wonderful. I was thinking of something again. My mind is like in a different zone. But retreat, Sharat.
Sharath. Yeah, Sharath. Well, maybe you could tell us more about how you then eventually decided to become a yoga teacher and open a shala and then close a shala.
Yes. Okay. So I've been teaching for a little while. I've been teaching a lot when COVID happened on Zoom, and I realised that I wasn't necessarily wanting to do that over forever. And especially because I was teaching in that corporate environment, and colleagues would just turn their cameras off, right? So I'd just kind of be teaching to myself because everyone had their cameras off. Right. And so as much as I tried to encourage it, I think it was because, they're in a workplace. They're not in their workplace, but they're surrounded by their colleagues. They may be a bit self-conscious, I don't know. So I struggled with that. And so I thought, if I want to do this properly, I really want to kind of dive into maybe having my own studio. It was also at the time that I had taken the role in London and then decided I wasn't taking the role anymore. So I was kind of in a limbo of what to do next. And whilst my work were great about kind of finding me an interim role, that wasn't kind of forever. It was almost like I was contracting with them for a while. So it was getting to a point where I kind of needed to do something else. And so I decided I'd taken the 200-hour and 300-hour Miami Life Center, and I'd learned so much from that. I was fully like immersed in it for so long that I just kind of wanted to share it. I wanted to, take what I'd learned through just experience, but also through all those amazing teachings, and put it into action. There was nothing really like that here in the Sunshine Coast. It was all quite, like I suppose like bigger studios, maybe doing all sorts of types of yoga, and I kind of wanted something that was a little bit more traditional, smaller, and a bit more of a community feel, just a very sort of, and it was a small space that I found, so that kind of suited me, and it kind of also gave me the opportunity to step out of my comfort zone massively, which was teaching people I knew, teaching people that I was familiar with, whether it be work colleagues or rowing colleagues or friends, or, so it was a huge leap for me to sort of make that move. And it was also, things sort of started to all happen at the same time. So I found this place, it was great, it was available, it was small enough, I could see what I could do with it in terms of how it would look. And then I was still in limbo about the role. I didn't think that I was going to have a job, so it kind of worked out that way. And then also your B School Harmony was going on at the same time, so it's just like, right, let me do this, let me get an idea of, because even though I've done international business, it was like years ago. Right. And to be honest, I kind of needed a bit of a refresher in business. And the thing that I liked about it was the fact that it was all about following your heart and following what felt authentic and felt right, felt like your purpose, rather than just kind of, international business, which was very, very different. So
sounds dry.
Yes, dry is a good word. So everything kind of happened at the same time, and so I took the leap and I opened the Shala, and then I also got offered a role back at my workplace. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to be able to afford this place, because the rent was expensive, if I'm going to be able to afford this place, it actually makes sense to have my job as well. So I tried to do both, and I did do both for a while. I did both for maybe 8 months. But it was a struggle, because I was teaching in the morning, working during the day, and teaching in the evening. And it was also the time when all the borders were still shut. So Noosa, where I live, or just near where I live, is very much a tourist town. So it very much depends on incoming tourism and overseas tourism as well. And that I didn't do my market research very well, to be honest. I'll be honest with you, I was pretty slack at that. So that was probably one thing. So whilst there were people coming, and there were such beautiful students coming, it just financially was kind of killing me, right? Because I was having to pay a babysitter to look after my children while I went to teach. Yeah. So anything that I made in a class was kind of used to pay the babysitter. Yeah. And so it was just, it was full on. And I wasn't seeing my family really very much. And I was exhausted. I was so tired.
Yeah.
And also...
that's a grueling schedule. Waking up, teaching Mysore, working all day, teaching again, coming home with 2 kids.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
It's a small business.
And also I started to get quite unwell. I had almost like this vertigo, like this real dizziness. So every time I stood up or sat down, the whole room would be spinning. And so when I was trying to show different asana, I couldn't. If I moved into Trikonasana, the whole room would spin. So it just felt like it was time.
Was it stress related, do you think? Or
I don't know. It went when I was in Portugal. So it lasted for quite a while, like maybe 4 months, 5 months or so. But when I went to Portugal, I don't know if it was a change in diet or just to relax, the fact that I was relaxing. It kind of went, and it didn't come back, thankfully, so that's good.
That's great.
And so it was an amazing experience, because I learned so much. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, do you feel like you failed?" And I don't, because failing would have been not trying, right? So, and I actually got so much out of it. In fact, I'm still teaching a couple of the students privately. So, so it's not like I'm out of teaching now. And just the positive feedback was wonderful as well. You know, and it was such a huge personal thing for me to do, to kind of take that huge fear of public speaking, of talking or teaching people that I hadn't met before, that whole, you know, just strangers coming in that I know very little about. And I kind of managed to do it, so I felt quite proud of myself for doing it. But yes, the rent, the strata fees, the electricity, the water, it was just like bill after bill after bill, and it was getting too much. And then I got a call from out of the blue from the estate agent asking if I wanted to get rid of the lease sooner rather than later, because I had a 12-month lease, because they were going to rebuild the whole building, so they were making it into an English school. So it was kind of like a get out of jail free card. It was really
nice.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. But I think it's so brave, and I loved being with you on that journey of opening the school, and you had such a beautiful boutique there.
Yeah, it was a lovely space. It really was.
Yeah.
And it had a really beautiful feel to it as well. It was, and anyone who came in there, you know, even if they were just in there to kind of have a look at the yoga mats or whatever, was just like, wow, this is such a beautiful space.
Yeah.
So, and I think sorry, I was just going to say, I think if I'm true to myself, I probably enjoyed the design of the place maybe more than I enjoyed the teaching. I found myself full of anxiety before every single class. It wouldn't matter how long I'd be there, you know, I was kind of full of kind of, you know, this negative self-talk. But the actual designing of the space was like just awesome. I loved that part of it.
It's interesting to pay attention to the parts of it that were in a flow, like that flowed for you was the design part, and there you find yourself now. It's interesting because I when teaching, Harmony and I both were infamously spontaneous in our teaching or improvisational. We walk in, we go into a flow state and see where the room goes. And, you know, we love that. We love just being immersed in that, you know, watching where the conversation goes, what we can talk about and teach. And there's a real pleasure to that. Building a yoga studio is the farthest damn thing from what we'd want to do.
Yeah.
We watched this show. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Chopped, and every winner gets 10.
Chopped Australia.
Maybe there's a Chopped Australia. Every winner gets $10,000, and they always ask the contestants, well, what would you do if you won the $10,000? And inevitably they say, oh, I'd open a restaurant. And they all just sort of nod condescendingly. It's like, good for you. And it's like, we feel the same way as like, I'm sure there are people listening who want to build their own yoga studio. They've been teaching at a whack of like 5 or 6 different studios throughout the day. And they want to go build their own. They want to have the space. They want to make all their own money and do it. And God bless you.
I did it though.
You did it?
I built a yoga studio and sold it, and it's still going.
Oh,
the woman who bought it, she's like,
that poor lady.
No, she's like made it even better than I could have ever made it. She's like got a real strategy about
Yeah.
I think the best teaching that I was a part of was when I was a part of a massive conglomerate corporation that had like 60, 70 employees, and I was just a cog, you know, and I didn't have anything to do with any of that stuff. You know, I didn't pay for the posters and the marketing materials or anything. I just showed up and I taught.
That's every male Mysore teacher's dream that I know.
But that's why you get married to a female, is that she does all that for you.
She does all the admin work and like
inevitably.
Oh yeah, the admin. There's so much admin as well.
God.
Right? Yeah.
God.
But what I love about your journey, and like especially like with B School and like the business aspect of it, and like coming to realize you loved the designing of the studio, is it really opened up this whole new career for you where you were following your passion, doing interior design and such beautiful designs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd taken a course in interior design. I did like a certificate of it in I think I finished it in 2020. So I'd had a few projects, a lot of them my own, and then a few of them kind of others. And I think that's where my happy place is for sure. Like I really, when you're fully immersed in something and kind of you're just totally like in the zone. That's how I feel when I'm doing it. There are aspects of it that I struggle with, though. It's not all
always
unicorns and rainbows. There's the piece around kind of the whole software piece. I'm not a techie person at all, so that piece is a bit of a struggle for me, where you have to do the floor planning and show what a render would look like a visual interpretation of what you've got in your head. Those things I probably need a little bit more practice at. So I'm doing my diploma in it now, and that will give me those skills. But the actual kind of journey of looking at space and then imagining what it will look like, and kind of bringing in elements that relate to nature, or for example, there was a recent project that I did for a granary, which was on a farm. So it was an old granary that they wanted to turn into accommodation for visitors in northern New South Wales. And so I imagined that there would be sort of scenarios of it either looking like a woodland or a misty morning with kind of blue and white and kind of that color scheme, and or even like a very stormy kind of scenario as well. And so I presented these 3 ideas to them, and thankfully they took the one that I preferred the most. I must have oversold that one a bit more. But it's just I love that journey of thinking about bringing those elements that are outside of the home into the home.
Yeah.
The Blues. No, that's the rugby team there at New South Wales.
Yeah. Oh, don't ask me about sport, please.
Yeah, it's beautiful though, like being inspired by nature and then like bringing those elements into your environment. It's
that's kind of that's where I draw my inspiration, is would be from nature. So, and even like just putting together mood boards of palettes, that you sort of see from the outside, and then I love that.
I really like rugby. I got to see a couple of matches when I was there. I saw the All Blacks, and I think I saw the Blues play.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were living here for a while?
Oh, I think it was just about a month, but I got to see a couple of rugby matches because I was. Nice. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was good.
You made a post that got a lot of attention lately.
Oh,
I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Is it controversial? Because I don't think that's what we do.
No,
here.
not really.
No. What did you do? Who did you upset?
Tell Russell what it was about.
It was just about my own practice, really, and my own experience. So, I'm in my late 40s, and my body's completely changed from the body that it used to be, especially since having children. And I think sometimes I've looked for guidance from teachers, and the guidance hasn't always been that helpful. It might be around kind of what I'm eating, or the fact that there's an assumption of what I might have eaten the day before, and it doesn't really help. So when I'm asking for guidance in like a deep twist, for example, it was really just about kind of asking about the technique or exercises that will help, rather than kind of just bringing my body into it. So I know that my body's changed very much from what it used to be, but I see it as, I've put my body through a lot, right? And it's still going, and it's still working well, and it's still, thankfully, it's given me like my 2 beautiful children. So I don't really want to beat it up, and I have in the past, but that's not where I am in my life now. I just want to be kind of grateful for all of the stuff it's given me and continues to give me. So that was kind of what the post was about.
Yeah, and so she was having trouble doing a twist and asked for guidance, and the teacher told her to stop eating sugar.
Oh yeah. Which, I could see that helping. Did it not go over well? Did it feel like?
I just felt like a bit disappointed, really, that was the response, you know. So
yeah.
I was kind of hoping for a bit more than that, I suppose.
Well, I think it brings to light an interesting thing is that I think, you know, as a teacher or as somebody in that role where you're guiding students or clients, you know, you might have assumptions about people, about their diet or what they are doing or aren't doing based on maybe your own cravings and experience, or just, you know, just overall assumptions, and that
projections.
Yeah, and that it's not helpful, right?
No, not at all.
It's not helpful, and it's not even true necessarily, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like there's
you know,
and also that it's commenting on someone's like body, on their weight or their shape, or, you know, and not taking into account, like you say, I mean, the fact that you're getting up and you're practicing on your yoga mat at all on a regular basis, I mean, I think is a total win. So
Why do you
like,
keep looking at me while you say that?
I don't know, because you're sitting beside me. Right? That's a total win. Like, if you're doing anything like sun salutations, if you're attempting a twist, I don't know, how much courage does it take to like attempt Marichyasana D? It takes a lot of courage,
yeah,
actually.
especially my huge dislike for those the C's and the C and the D. So yes, it
Right?
does.
And I think sometimes, like when you're a professional yoga, you know, yoga professional or a professional yoga teacher, or, you know, you're really immersed in doing, you know, very advanced asanas, you can forget that
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
actually it takes a lot of courage to show up and put yourself in that shape, especially when it's new, or especially when your body's not the way it used to be, especially,
Yeah.
you know, after you've had kids, especially when you're, you know, a woman in her middle ages who's, you know, going through all kinds of hormone fluctuations and not sleeping and, like, you know, having all kinds of changes happening. I think, you know, people need to, I don't know, just be, I don't know, more aware. Maybe awareness is the key yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And
growth.
I think it's not because it's not the first time it's happened. Not
Right.
well, it was, you know, with another teacher, it happened the same thing, and it was interesting that when I did, you know, express myself, someone else, you know, sent me a private message afterwards saying that she'd experienced something similar. So I think it's quite, you know, potentially quite common, and I just don't think it's very helpful at all. So
No, and this is the one thing that I feel is maybe like a little bit of an unhealthy current in the Ashtanga community. And as much as I love the practice, and I love the people who love the practice, and I'm, you know, I know it takes so much dedication and determination and willpower and drive, and just to like get up and do the thing daily. But there is a real unhealthy undercurrent about body weight, and the fact that to do many of the postures, and this is a reality, to do many of the postures, you need to be very thin. And that's not a healthy weight for many people. I would
yeah,
say a large majority of people, it's not a healthy weight for. And especially women, especially when you have hips and a butt and, you
yeah,
know,
and
like
a big chest, like
boobs. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, you know, it's, and so it makes that kind of shape, which is like a very feminine, very like beautiful shape, not something that is looked upon as unhealthy, when actually it's very healthy,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
healthy. And then it kind of elevates this other shape that actually isn't healthy, that's very skinny and very deprived and very, you know, much like probably underweight for most women,
Well,
and says
if you're
this
not
is
having
what you should try
aspire
to
to,
aspire
if you
to.
can't have a period, then you could probably put that in the unhealthy bucket.
Right, yeah, if you're losing your, you know, menstruation, And also, I mean, just if you have to eat under 1,000 calories a day to maintain that weight, like,
Yeah.
1,000. I used to dream
or
of
1,000,
1,000.
I meant, sorry,
Used
not
to
100.
dream of 1,000.
Right? If you have to eat under 1,000 calories a day and you're like doing like huge, periods of intermittent fasting, and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling better, I'm feeling lighter, I can do the practice so much easier. It's like, yeah, but like at what cost? And I feel like maybe some, like, sorry, Russell, but maybe some male teachers don't understand like female physiology, and that's actually not healthy
I spent a
for
good
women.
part of my life looking at women. Thank you very much. I know what they look like.
Do you? I don't know. It's just something that I feel like your post really highlighted. This bias. It's an unconscious bias. Maybe it's conscious. I don't know, but it that many teachers who are, very advanced in their practice have. And it changes the way that you see people also.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's dangerous.
Almost a little bit judgmental as well, like
100%.
Yeah. And
yeah.
People are there for all different reasons. You don't know what their reasons are. And I don't know, just being a little bit more, just thinking maybe before you speak sometimes is kind of useful. And, just thinking about the impact of your words before you say them, because, you just don't know what people are going through, and we're all so different, that doesn't, and, maybe it is, maybe the practice, is sort of kind of designed for people that are, super slim, but I find so much value in the practice myself, so I'm not going to be deterred by what other people might judge or think. To be honest, I'll just do my thing.
Yeah,
I think there's something really fundamental to kind of human consciousness and the way that we set ourselves up for projection and then failure. I feel like there's this epic narrative of the hero's journey of a Superman that accomplishes that journey, that we all follow their lead to arrive at a destination. And I think that notion of a journey following a Superman is the kind of specious logic that gets us into this problem, where we have a model that we're looking to, who is 1% body fat, 6'6", massive back bend, very long and lean,
long-limbed.
They can be both male and female at the same time. All of these ridiculous notions that we then, these, stubby little Anglo-Saxons kind of aspire to, and then fail at achieving.
Our funny little Portuguese bodies.
Yeah, and then
exactly.
that are dead sexy. And then, it's so. But what you look at someone like Ramana Maharshi, and the model of that we're looking to with someone like him is to appreciate the nowness of now, and to examine and observe the nowness of now. And yet somehow this gets translated very quickly into going onto Instagram and looking at a influencer model the nowness of now, and how fucking gorgeous and rich she is, and then makes her Instagram about the nowness of now 10,000 times more popular than mine. Well, that is the misery of our consciousness, of following the Ubermensch.
Yeah, I mean, I have huge respect for Ashtangis, whatever size they are. But you see people that are hugely dedicated to their practice, and they have like this beautiful, slim, slender physique. I've got nothing against that at all. But I think my post was more, everyone comes in different shapes and sizes,
Exactly.
So it kind of needs to be a bit more inclusive rather than this kind of exclusive club that some people can't.
Yeah, and I mean, I think to that, exactly to that, is somebody who has a different physique can be just as dedicated to their practice as someone who's super slim and, you know, with a massive back bend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't show dedication.
But the failing is that stubby Anglo-Saxon isn't finishing third series.
Right.
And then they are not
That's
as
true.
spiritually advanced.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
By definition, which is a
Yeah.
load of horse hockey.
Yeah, it uncovers this bias that's there that I feel needs to be talked about more and also like brought to the surface because even like when you know it's there, it's still there, right? It's still like
Well, every fucking time I'm told that I'm too fat, you know, then I'm laughed at. Oh, Russell, too fat. Then I'm kind of less inclined to do the fucking practice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you know what I was as well? Like I really afterwards lost my mojo for doing it. So I was just like, oh. But then I kind of I had to think about it and realised, you know, I'm not doing it for anyone else but myself, really.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does kind of demotivate.
Yes. Yeah. And if the idea of the Superman is to lead all of us and more of us to do it, well, then that's counter to the whole idea.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the intention wasn't bad. You know, it's just kind of a flying. It was just a comment that was a flyaway comment, but it left a kind of impact, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a comment that allows us to have this conversation, which I think is really valuable. Because it reveals that unconscious bias, and you know, it's not to say that it's only that teacher or only some teachers. I mean, it's just something that's, I think, in the culture actually, and it comes from the top. I mean, it's in Mysore too. It's in Mysore, India. It's
every fucking minute. Can I ask a question though, just to clarify? When the comment was made, was the comment you're 100% sure directed towards body shape? And like you're kind of heavy, you should eat less sugar.
Well, it was how can I've been struggling with Marichesna C for quite a while. How can I bind in it?
And someone said,
and the suggestion was eat no sugar for a month.
Because it's possible, because I went on one of these fucking candida fasts. I don't know if you've ever done one, but it's like basically anything that produces sugar, including anything that has any sugar in it at all, like soy sauce
or
rice, like all it was boiled broccoli. You do start to feel a little bit flexible.
Yeah, I can imagine you would.
And I'm just saying,
miserable but flexible.
Oh, I was high as a kite as well. I was like,
ooh,
in the face.
Yeah.
I felt like my flexible friends, like Brett Porzio, like he's a bit in the fairies, and I felt like him finally. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, how long did you do it for?
So I did it for 2 weeks, and then I went to a wedding, and I had a proper wedding feast. I think I was.
Sounds like a terrible way to break a fast.
In Dorset. I went down to Dorset for a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And had a bit of cake. And on the way home, I had to stop the car and I vomited all of it.
Oh, no.
Because the body said, what the fuck are you doing now?
What are you doing to me?
And then I went back on the Candida fast for another 2 weeks. And me bloody, what do you call it?
Plantar wart.
What do you call those warts?
A plantar wart.
Plantar wart.
I think that's what it's called.
There's a band that has the name of this. What's the name of this band named after a wart? It's like a 90s rock band. Veruca Salt. That's the band. So I had a Veruca, and it kind of peeled off me foot like a Band-Aid. It was the weirdest thing.
You got rid of your fungus.
You know, and I thought, that's a Candida fast, is to get rid of the Candida fungus that's like rife through your body from extra sugar.
I see. Okay.
Just
the fungus eats the sugar.
1, fat shaming is not okay, and 2, fungus is not okay.
Fungus is not okay.
Unless it's a mushroom.
Magic mushrooms, those will do you.
Speaking of fungus, we're watching that
Right? If there's anything you learn from The Last of Us, Jakarta is where fungus comes from. And two, the mycelium network is real, and it will
eat you.
It will eat. Yeah. God.
What's this? The Last of Us?
It's the number one hit new show on HBO, and it's another one of these lovely.
It's basically a zombie show, but
they're
fungus.
mushrooms. The mushrooms have taken over the. Let me look up the name of this mushroom.
It's like a cordyceps or something.
Yeah, that's it. You did it. How do you remember that?
I remember mushrooms that eat humans. Okay.
The cordyceps mushroom mutated, and it does this in ants all the time. It takes over the host of an ant, and it turns it into a carnivorous parasite that eats other ants. And so the premise is that the same cordyceps mushroom evolves, mutates, and takes over human beings, and the human beings start eating each other.
See, now we're revealing our secret
passions.
Bad television.
We love the bad TV. Yeah. So.
Oh, well, it was just so lovely to connect with you. What are you up to now, Bella? Are you still doing your interior designs? Are you
so
working?
I'm doing the diploma now, and we're also going to redo this house that I'm in now. So that'll be another project for me. And
you're teaching privates too, right?
Teaching privates, doing the course and rebuilding this place. So that's going to keep me busy, I think, for this year. And then looking to kind of move back to the UK at some point, maybe early next year.
Oh, don't do that.
I think I have to, just for a while.
For mum.
For mum and dad, yeah.
And you probably would prefer to have British children, I imagine.
They don't really have an Aussie accent. Even,
no, don't
they? No. Yes. They still have a little bit of a mix of Aussie and English.
Yeah.
Maybe they put on a performance at home of Britishness, and then out in the wild, they're a bit more natural.
I feel like the British and the Aussie accent are very similar, though.
Oh my God, no.
No, they aren't.
No, sweetie.
You can tell them apart, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can.
Although when I first got to Australia, I struggled to identify the Kiwis from the Aussies.
Oh yeah.
Now you can.
Now I can.
No.
Yeah,
the Kiwis are more soft spoken.
Yeah, that took a while to differentiate the two. But they don't have a range of accents, though. I don't think like the UK does, right? So the UK just from one small part of the country to the other, the accents vary massively.
Right.
Yeah. That's the one thing about England is it's very clan oriented. I'm gonna say.
Well, I was told.
We're back to our original point.
At my attempts at Britishness were unconvincing. That's what I was told. I was told to stop.
Stop.
Just stop.
Yeah, please stop. Like,
why? What were you doing? Were you trying to?
I was trying
British accent?
I was trying to fit in. I don't know.
He's speaking with his British accent.
I wasn't trying to be high and mighty. I was trying to be Essex, trying to fit in. Hello, Colchester and all that. No one liked it at all.
No,
okay. Unconvincing. I was told to stop it. Stop it.
I'm sure it was entertaining for them, though.
I don't think so. No. Yeah. Well, again, it's been a real pleasure just having a chin wag.
It has been. It's been lovely. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me on. It's been really lovely to catch up with you both.
I wanted to talk more about cigarettes, but maybe the next time we could talk about giving that up. That'd be nice.
Yeah, another time.
Giving up cigarettes?
Giving up cigarettes. Yeah, there's a whole chapter here on it. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it was
provoking.
Yeah, I'm glad I did that.
yeah, that's always a good move.
Yeah,
helps with absolutely. The pranayama.
Having a fag, having a chin wag.
Yeah, it was just why did I do that for so long? Anyway, it's done now.
You liked smoking, didn't you, Harmony?
I did.
Yeah, it's good.
It was kind of a sort of social thing to do. But maybe not really. In hindsight.
Yeah, it's fine.
It was good for weight loss as a dancer.
Harmony
actually.
with the weight loss again. Making all these poor health choices for weight loss. So
I've done it all. I've done all of it.
You've done all the weight loss techniques.
I have.
Including not eating, including regurgitation, cigarettes, all the things.
I did all the things.
And they do work, though, don't they?
They mostly do.
They do the job. Yeah. Well,
not advised.
Not ill-advised.
No. Learn to love yourself the way you are.
Yeah.
With or without Marichi asanas.
That's it.
I'm never doing that.
Oh, my God.
Fuck off. I'm not doing that
again. Awful.
No one needs the Marichi asanas. Let's just be honest.
Mm.
I do twist in my chair once in a while.
Yeah, that sounds doable.
Yeah, beautiful. I could never figure out why the second series twists were so much easier.
It's a relief from the hard stuff. You need a little bit of a breather, and so just do a nice,
I feel
gentle.
Those should be in primary series and all the Marichi asanas.
You can't have it all tough. It's too hard to maintain that level of intensity. So you need a breather.
A little breather, a little breathing break in the middle of intermediate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, thank you for providing us with a breathing break and having such a nice conversation. It was so nice
thank you both.
Connect with you again.
We should have our guests do a mindfulness exercise.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah. And maybe I'll see you in the build your dream business challenge the next couple of days. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that you've got something. Is it on Sunday? You've got something happening Sunday, don't you?
This Sunday, we're going to do... I have all kinds of things coming up, Bella.
Yeah. Okay.
We can find about littlesanctuary.com.au.
Yes.
And so please look her up. Beautiful designs.
Thank you. Have
more beautiful designs coming your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both.
Thank you.